We Dig Community tells the stories of the people and organizations behind Community Bucket's service-made social mission. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and of course, subscribe to listen to future shows and stay part of the community.
Okay, we're live.
We're live. Hello.
Hey, Jesse, what's up? What's up?
What's happening in Atlanta?
It's a gloomy day when we're recording, but we will survive.
Gloomy. The sun is shining here.
Oh, lovely. Well, welcome everybody to our first episode. Glad you're listening.
How long have we been talking about doing this, JC?
We've been talking probably 4 years. Is that right?
Probably.
Yeah. I texted someone.
Maybe.
Yeah. I texted someone about us starting and launching, and they said, "What? Finally?" So we're glad to be doing this. So quick thing for those people who do not know what Community Bucket is, Jesse, why don't you just give a quick, what is Buckets, and maybe tell us why you've been doing this for so long, and I can share as well.
Yeah, I'll give the overview, the elevator pitch. So
Sure.
We are a nonprofit. We started in 2012 in Atlanta. We're now in Denver and Austin and still in Atlanta. And we exist really to help people build community through social volunteering. So
That's awesome.
that means is, I think you think it's awesome. I would hope so.
I do.
But for those who don't know us or haven't experienced it, it's all around, our mission is centered around service made social. So we volunteer together and then we socialize together. So we'll do things like clean up a big park and then head over to a big brewery or some place to have lunch or big picnic and field games at the park, things like that, just to help people connect and really make friendships, sometimes more than friendships, through volunteering. We could talk.
And by more than friendships, do you mean marriages maybe?
Yes, there's been neither of us, but seven confirmed marriages, I believe.
Yeah, we need to check that, but
greater than 5. I know that for sure, and those are just ones we know about.
That's awesome. I guess I was gonna maybe give a little context too. We've been doing this, as Jesse said, since 2012, and I thought I would share. It's just been literally so amazing to see kind of where we've been and where we're headed. Probably throughout this podcast, you're going to hear from different partners, different volunteers, some old, some brand new. But ultimately, one thing we're excited about is helping to spread community, talk about it, share what our partners are doing. And this is, of course, one way to do that. And so, one thing that I'm really excited about for this is to talk about like why we're even here. For me, I came in the second event. Jesse kind of launched with a few friends, connections, colleagues, family. Family was so important in the beginning. And I came in and just saw everything that was going to happen and could happen. And I just got very excited about it. Sometimes Jesse and I joke about me being this early on bucket freak who just was obsessed with it. But the concept of volunteering together, like sweating together and then serving together and then having, say, like a beer or, food together afterwards just blows my mind. I'm obviously a big fan if I've been doing this for 9 years alongside Jesse. So that's very exciting. And we're just really glad to elevate the stories of others who have come along the journey with us. And that is our hope with this podcast. Which is exciting.
The first event when you came on a little strong?
Sure, we should. Maybe from both perspectives. I signed up. I heard about this through a friend, and we were in a softball league together, and he had mentioned, we like volunteered at a furniture bank, and then we went to Sweetwater and had a beer. And I said, "What? You get to volunteer together and you hang out and meet new people?" And so, of course, I made all of my friends sign up along with me for the second event. And I believe what Jesse was getting on his side, he can speak to this, was everyone said, there was a little box that said, "How did you hear about Bucket? How did you hear about Community Bucket? How did you hear about?" And everyone kept, all of my friends who I made sign up with me said, "JC Lucas, JC Lucas, JC Lucas." And of course, they may have thought, who is this? Who's this freak? Casey Lucas,
See, Lucas is.
right? Perhaps. But as I showed up with a ton of my friends, and we volunteered at Mad Hauser, so it was the first event that I did, and then headed over. That was, I think, second, third, maybe event for me.
I have a
Mad
distinct.
Hausers.
I don't know.
Could have been Trees Atlanta. They all run together now, but either way, we showed up, and a bunch of my friends and I showed up, and then we hung out in East Atlanta afterwards. And I believe when I met Jesse for the first time, one of the things he said was, "Oh, you're JC Lucas." We were wondering who this person is, and of course, I said to him, "I gotta do this. I love this so much. I want to do this for a job." Yeah.
And then we went to Neighbors. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I remember you ordering some gin and tonics, asking me all kinds of questions, and the energy was great. It hasn't stopped.
Yes. Turns out I have a little energy still for Community Bucket.
Let's talk about that, JC. So it's almost August will be 9 years since really about that first event, and definitely the start of Community Bucket. But we've had ups and downs in terms of days where we're both, some days we're both really excited. Some days one of us is really excited, the other is the opposite. And then some days we're both scratching our heads thinking, what are we doing? Why are we doing this?
Yes.
I'll let you go first, but talk about perhaps why still after 9 years, still at it, still crazy after all these years.
Yeah, still crazy. I mean, for me, it's the community for me. I think like ultimately today, especially after the pandemic, if you got, if people are listening, like you've probably been cooped up, right? So now more than ever, I do think that Community Bucket plays a very specific role in cultivating genuine community connections, right? Like that's across the board and highs and lows. I just continually have heard the stories of how Community Bucket has impacted people or how it has affected or brought people together. And thankfully, I go back to those things. If we're down in a low, or if I'm in a high place, I come back to the fact that there really is genuine connections that happen through volunteerism, and with that continued conversation. I think that for me, that's what happens, and I get hyped from it. I hear the stories, so that's what keeps me going. Tell me, Jesse, for you, what is it?
Can I steal the same answer?
Absolutely.
I think it's pretty similar. No, it is that community piece of it and helping people connect. So my experience coming to Denver, we weren't yet established in Denver. I moved here not really knowing very many people, and got to experience, alongside helping build and getting the founding team going and really creating a chapter, a community here of Community Bucket. Also got to experience that other side of it, of being new to a city and seeking out volunteer opportunities and using that as a way to meet new people. Early events, like you said, were a lot of friends of mine, family, people I knew from various stages of life. And then it slowly grew beyond that. But it was really, just for me, really powerful to see, okay, this really does work. This is a great way to strike up a conversation with a stranger, a new person, a neighbor, whoever it might be. Even outside of a Community Bucket event, it's something to talk about. People are really drawn to that. And then going and just seeing that experience really play out of, once again, seeing it grow from scratch, so to speak, I think has been, for me, just a great reminder over the past couple of years to really, that we're onto something. And, a reminder of the other part that really drives me, as you know, and we'll talk about this in future episodes with people we bring on, but the host team, the people who are really the backbone of the organization, the captains, the people who show up and just lend a hand and do a better job than maybe I could of rallying troops and getting everybody all hyped up and energized, or coming up with a really fun game for an icebreaker. Things like that, just really seeing so many people over the years that are still with us that have invested so much in really making this community what it is. As you know, our goal is to make it much bigger than you or I. And I think we continue to strive for that. And just seeing how many faces and stories behind this are just a good reminder of that, which is also why we were so excited to finally do this podcast of really bringing to light who it is behind the scenes that is planning events, that is getting out there, spreading the word, telling whoever they meet to come to Community Bucket, the nonprofits who are putting us to work and then benefiting from it. So a lot that gets us jazzed up.
Yeah, just a few things.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we should talk a little bit about just the, pandemic, what we've been doing. We could highlight a few of those things. Again, you're going to hear, we want to bring on guests that will be able to continue to tell that story. But what have we been doing? And then what are we excited about coming up? We're launching the podcast. So we're excited to kind of get back out there as vaccinations become more of a thing. Maybe you can tell us a little bit to what we've been doing. Tell our listeners what we've been doing.
So about this time last year was when we pretty much put all of our in-person events on hold. I just came across an email recently that we sent to volunteers saying, "Oh, we're watching the situation. We'll see what happens." Like everybody, we didn't think that we'd be out of it for a year, but fortunately, like so many, definitely figured out a way to just pivot quickly. And I think we took the approach of let's just try whatever we can during these lockdowns, that really the early stages of COVID, that March, April, May timeframe. So we did our Impact Where You Live initiative, and that really gave people an opportunity to form their own projects, mini groups, what we called our crews, and put together their own projects that spoke to them, whether that was order a bunch of food and bring it to nurses in the hospitals, or run a 5K and do a fundraiser about that to raise money for some organization. Just different ways to connect and do things almost like the opposite of how we would normally do a Community Bucket event, of us doing all the planning. We instead gave that out to the community and equipped them with needs that we were finding and tools to help them do that and attract other people. Over the summer, we did some in-person outdoor events. Some were more successful than others. It was fine. Everybody was safe, but we didn't have as much of an interest in it, just given where everybody was last summer. And we kept our Tech Gives Back program going. So that was all virtual too. We'll talk about Tech Gives Back more in another episode, but essentially it's a way for companies to get out and volunteer. And that really kept us busy through the fall. But we did put all of our programming on hold from about July through the end of the year, just to take some breathing room, not try to continue planning things that we couldn't forecast more than a month or so out, or even a week or so out in some cases. And kicked back in February with our Love Your City events. And that was really our first launch event for 2021. And navigating this year is very much about we still have COVID as a reality, but it's more, we want to be relevant. We want to bring people together. And as soon as we can, hopefully it's looking like in May, start to get back together safely in person. And all the while we've just been trying to keep everybody informed of what we're doing, provide opportunities. Oh, I forgot to mention Om at Home. We did things like online yoga classes that somebody could just plug in from their computer. We did some other fundraisers, things like that, just to, again, keep people as connected as possible. But it's definitely been a challenge.
I'm sure a few things, honestly, because our community really did pull together and do so many things. But that's awesome. We'll be sure to include some recaps in the show notes so that people can see maybe some impact from the crews and the work that they did, some partners. The Tech Gives Back event was super successful. So much money raised for, I think, 6 different nonprofits. So I think the impact that we were able to do through all this was super exciting for me, because it was kind of like this, oh, like, what can we do? Like what people can do. And of course, through the whole last year, we really did see so many people step up, not just for Community Bucket, not just for our community, but overall. Everyone knows that, whenever you were following kind of any kind of news, especially supporting the medical community and first responders and everything. So it's just been really good to see what everyone in our community has done and beyond, which also makes me excited for what's coming up, right? As you said, in May, this first kind of back and at the in-person events is going to be really exciting for me. I'm stoked to, we haven't announced our partners yet, but we're going to be doing some partners outside, some projects outside. And yeah, I feel like me, along with others, are itching to kind of get back out, to reconnect and to relearn how to be in person, to be honest. I know most every interaction we've had over the past year has been primarily online, and that doesn't mean it's just because you're in Denver and I'm in Atlanta, but literally that's just because everyone has been digital. So I'm excited for that, to kind of get back out there and bloom, shall we say.
It'll be nice to have and it'll take some time, but getting back to even just like the comfort level of having a random conversation with somebody who you may not know and aren't sure how they live their life, or whatever is going through people's minds these days when they meet somebody new. But I think for both of us, that's been such a it's highlighted how much that is needed through this, is just that ability to casually strike up conversations with new people and just enjoy the company of others without thinking about a virus that's going to infect you or anything like that.
Yes.
Name?
Yeah, let's do. So for those of you that didn't hear or see any of the graphics, the name of our podcast is called We Dig Community. Jesse, why don't you talk a little bit about why we dig community?
Yeah, so we came up with that before COVID, probably back in 2019, as a mnemonic that we started using at our events for our captains, really to just help solidify what the service made social experience is. We want to keep that consistent, whether you're in Atlanta, Denver, or Austin, and whether you show up in May, December, or July, the experience should be the same. And those are, oh God, something just happened to your screen. There we go.
My auto lights.
Hey, it's okay. We don't have a professional studio here, so semi. But
right.
So the We Dig community is something that, so it stands for a few things. And again, this is what we tell people at the beginning of the event to really just remind everybody why they're there, why we are there, and how to make service made social continue. So there you go. You can hold up the fingers again, JC. So the D stands for doing everything with care. And what we mean by that is, if you show up to a project, you're there to help. If we're in a urban farm, like don't trample over the beds, or if there's tools that you just leave lying around, just do everything with care. Really, the focus on quality is something that we really try to emphasize. So just a reminder for that. Impact first and impact together. So we do always want Service Made Social Community Bucket events to be about making a true impact. We don't want to just volunteer to volunteer, but we want to show up and really help the nonprofits. And that together piece is we're always working with other organizations. So we're not just going out and doing our own thing, but we're partnering with organizations that are already working on a specific cause and really trying to lift them up. So the collaboration piece is key. And then the most fun, the G, is good times always. So whether that's a fun way to start the project, or we always do the social event, but we really do want everybody to have a good time. We're not there for mandated service or being told to show up, and we want to keep that experience fun. So there's, I'm sure, some stories we could tell in the coming episodes of ways that we do that, but
absolutely,
fun is key. So that would be a good name for this podcast too, because we ultimately, in addition to what those things stand for, you and I and so many of us at Community Bucket just dig community. And we do a lot of digging at a lot of our projects. So it's together.
We've dug some trenches and a lot of, and by trenches, I mean maybe small at Concrete Jungle or something like that. Nothing too crazy, but
trees, right? You have to.
A lot of yes. So,
yeah.
Well, before we sign off, should we go ahead and just talk? Get people excited. Maybe talk a little bit about what's going to come up. What can they expect from the next kind of few episodes?
So this is an experiment for us. So we're going to do this first season will be 6 episodes. And what these first episodes will cover are, as we've mentioned before, we're going to be having guests on folks who are either from our various cities, but host team captains, those who are on the founding teams in our new cities, talking about some of the stories of just how things got started, and maybe 1 or 2 of our nonprofit project partners on. And we'll see where it goes, but we're going to be releasing these throughout the summer. So stay tuned, and as we can start our return back to normal programming and doing more events in the latter part of the year, that this will be just an exciting way to stay connected with all of you, continue sharing just fun news and updates. And I guess the only other thing is we'd love feedback as we go. So we want this to be not just useful for everybody on the show, but everybody listening. So we'll continue to react and I'm sure adapt things as we go on, but we're hoping it's a success.
Yeah.
What do you think?
We know it will be a success, and we're excited to tell stories of just all the people that have already made this a success. As Jesse said, it's not just about the 2 of us. Like, we've come alongside so many people, and we're excited to talk about them, meet them, share their stories, and meet more people doing it and encourage more people doing it. And hopefully change the world with volunteering.
Yeah. And we'll try to keep the episodes. Probably this one might be a little bit long. We might be over time, 15 to 20 minute range. So not a 3-hour marathon session, but make it more absorbable. Yeah.
Well, we're excited. We're thankful you're on this journey with us, and excited to share the next episode, hopefully in the next week or so. So, yeah, I think that's it.
Take care, everyone.
We'll see you. Talk to you soon.